Well, hello and welcome back to another Channel 2012 product tour and review. In today's video, we're going to be taking a look at the Samsung HL-T5076S DLP rear projection television set. Alright, so before we get started, a little background first. I got this set about a month ago from a guy on Craigslist. About a month prior to him listing it, it had developed the white dots problem that can happen on DLP televisions, and he did end up getting that fixed by replacing the DMD chip. And about a month later, the lamp went out, but rather than just spending the money to replace that, he opted to sell this one, which is how it ended up right here. In case anyone's wondering, takes a BP96 lamp. The one that was in there, which I assume was the original lamp, had right around 5,000 hours on it before it failed. Anyway, we'll go into the specifics now. 50-inch screen, 1080p resolution. It is a DLP set, as I mentioned earlier, but it is unusually thin and light. As you can see here, not too deep at all for what it is. I want to say it's just 10 or 11 inches deep. It's also relatively light. This model is only about 60 or so pounds, as opposed to the 130-pound Mitsubishi DLP television that I showed you guys, I believe it was this past summer, maybe it was last summer. For comparison, the Toshiba that I did a video on prior to that even was about 80 pounds. So this is definitely a pretty light and economical DLP set. Anyway, we'll go over a quick hardware tour here. As you already saw, left side is the lamp compartment. To get the lamp out, there's just one screw, and then there's a clip mechanism. Alright, not too much going on the top of the set. You do have this little sticker here that just reminds you not to set components on there. As you saw before, not too much going on the back. There's actually an access cover here, and you can take this off. You can actually see inside the screen. More on that later. Yeah, sticker for your lamps. And then something I like to see, detachable power cord here. As you can see, it is just a standard 3-prong computer/television power cable. So that makes for easy transport and easy replacement of the power cable if it were to ever get broken or lost. The right side here is where the magic happens. You got all of your inputs conveniently there so that you don't have to reach fumbling around the back of the set. You got 2 coaxial ports, 3 HDMI ports. The third HDMI port has a separate audio input optionally. For example, if you're using it with a computer with a DVI to HDMI adapter and you'd still like sound that's not outputted through the video card, that can be hooked up into these ports. It's got optical audio out there, serial port for, I don't know what you'd use that for. On the left there you have a USB port. The television actually has an application built in that can play music or photos off of a USB drive. Can't play videos though, which is a bit of a disappointment. And over there you got a handy dandy VGA port with its own dedicated 3.5mm audio input. You got 3 sets of standard def composite/S video. There's something there for 3D or something. I really don't know what that is. I don't do 3D stuff. And then down there you have 2 sets of high def component ports. So not a bad set of inputs and outputs there. On the right side here you have buttons for source menu, volume, channel, and power. Alright, so now let's go ahead and start it up. Give you an idea of how long it takes here. It's not too slow to start up. It's not particularly quickly like the Toshiba was, but the lamp light's fast enough and everything comes up reasonably quickly. And I can actually see it through the viewfinder here, the image, before I can actually see it that well on the screen. I do have up a test pattern here. Now that brings us to the image quality aspect of the review here. Quality's not that bad. It's not fantastic. When I got it, after the DMG chip had been replaced by the previous owner, or maybe by a repair shop, the image was actually shifted down very far. So I ended up adjusting that a little bit, and there's instructions online on how to do that if you've got that problem. But like any rear projection set, you can never get it perfect. There's always going to be a little bit of cutoff, overscan. Focus isn't perfect. As you can see here, the worst overscan is close to the top left corner there, around 5%, maybe even a little bit more. The rest of it, it's not too bad. The rotation's a little funny. You know, you can see there's a little bit of bending of the lines, but it's not terrible. Another item worth noting with this set is the lens tends to get a little dusty, as it can with the lens on any rear projection television set. But the unfortunate reality is that there's not really any way to clean it off. So as a result, if there's a lot of light on one side of the screen, any dark areas on, say, the left side of the screen will appear a little bit brighter because of the reflection off that dust. So the fact that that can't be easily cleaned, basically without removing the entire light engine, is a little bit of a disappointment. Anyway, we'll take a look at some of the features on here now. It does come with a pretty standard remote. Nothing too special, gets the job done. The buttons do get a little squeaky after a while. I cleaned it up a little bit as best I could. As far as interesting features on the set itself are concerned, not a whole lot. You know, pretty standard menus and options and that kind of stuff. For the VGA input, there are actually some interesting provisions for image processing. If I press the picture size button on the remote, I can actually go into a special PC mode that will scale the image down a little bit to compensate for that overscan. And what this does is it actually you know, creates kind of a compromise. As you can see here, there's a little bit of cutoff on the top, and then on the left side there's actually some empty screen, and then toward the bottom you get a little bit cut off there, but you can see most of it, so you're not missing too much. So would this work great as a full-time computer monitor? Not really. It's also worth mentioning that as far as resolutions in the VGA port are concerned, the only thing it'll take is 1920 by 1080. Anything I would have actually, with this scaling, preferred to have had been able to give it 720p, so that way I wouldn't be losing a lot of resolution with it. That, and it's just a little easier on this little netbook here that I'm using. As far as general stuff is concerned, screen's bright enough. The ambient noise as far as the fans and stuff are concerned, it's not too bad. It's not that loud, especially compared to the Mitsubishi set that I looked at last time. This is relatively quiet for what it is. Let's go ahead and power it down. Takes a little bit to power down, and then it leaves the fan on for a little bit longer after it's shut off to cool the lamp. Now, if anyone was wondering, for lamp hours, those can be viewed and reset. You have to actually go into the service menu on the television, which is kind of annoying. The way to do that is to go on the remote here, and you want to press Mute 182 and then power. And if I did that right, when it powers up, it'll power up straight to the service menu, and it'll be the only thing you'll be able to see. It shows the last video source it was put on behind the service menu. So what you want to do is you go into Option by pressing Enter, and then you can see here, lamp life, by scrolling down to that, and then you can also use the lamp clear function to reset those hours. As you can see, it's only at 5 hours because this is a brand new lamp that I got here. In closing, the Samsung HL-T5076S isn't that bad of a set. It's thin, light, has a number of convenient features such as the removable power cord, the fancy image resizing for the VGA source. It's bright, has decent image quality, but it does have a few shortcomings, including image cutoff and geometry, as well as that inoperable lens that you basically have to remove the entire light engine for in order to clean. I hope you found today's review entertaining and informative, and be sure to stay tuned to the all-new Channel 2012 for the latest in reviews, guides, food, computers, general around the house, and other high-quality, high-definition uploads. Thanks for watching.